Alright, so in my previous bad ramblings of Scarlet, I had mentioned that Yuri and horror mesh quite well with each other. Well, when I mentioned Yuri and horror, I did have a series in mind, and that is Roll Over and Die. I will fight for an ordinary life with my love and cursed sword. Yeah, that's the entire title. I had also mentioned previously about my Yuri preference that I am always down for a Yuri that is on the fantasy setting or even a sci-fi setting, and especially with a darker tone. And, well, Roll Over and Die certainly scratches that itch, albeit just a little bit, because despite it excelling in the horror theme and even some of the action scenes, the Yuri itself is a little bit lackluster. I don't know what kind of world we're living in where my favorite couples out of this Yuri series is the non-Yuri couple. But I will say it loud and clear. I love Linus and Maria. And honestly, I hadn't expected to love them as much as I do now, but Volume 3 and 4, well actually mostly Volume 4, has really done it in for me. For the main Yuri couples themselves, Flum and Milkit, I feel like if I had discovered the series 10 years prior, back when I was in high school, holy shit, I would have enjoyed these characters a whole lot more than I do today, because Ike 10 years prior would have been totally cool with this whole master and slave relationship, but Ike now much prefer this whole slave and master relationship in more of a SMM roleplay and not like actual slavery. And then there are the other Yuri couples, or the Yuri pairings. They're not really couples yet, and I hope that they won't end up becoming couples because, ooh, I will talk more about that in the spoiler arena. But going back to the whole horror theme, I absolutely love it, especially its play on body horror. And I feel that there is an inspiration from Uzumaki by Junji Ito, especially with this whole spiral business that is going on. I love the introduction of the world in Volume 1, and as you get onto the other volumes, that world that we were first introduced to ends up being flipped upside down, and it is just a very nice in terms of a quote-unquote twist. I don't know why I say quote-unquote and then I do air quotes at the same time. It's like a double quotations. Anyways, just like how the mystery of the world begins to unravel as you continue on with the volumes, so does the grand scale of things, especially the battles. Honestly, from where Volume 4 is, Volume 1 feels quite minuscule in terms of the battle scale. And the gradual, not even gradual scale, I feel like it kind of just went up a little bit slightly, and then it spiked up a little bit at Volume 3, and then it went even higher into Volume 4. And now I'm just trying to wonder how is Volume 5 going to deal with things, especially, again, with the battle scale, the grand scale of battle. There is a wide cast of characters starting with Volume 1, and as you continue on to each volumes, it really starts to pile up the amount of characters that we are having in this series. And speaking of characters and the whole horror element, there is that concept of death in terms of main characters, or even the recurring characters that we see a lot. I really like it in terms of the stakes that is happening within these volumes, and I just feel like it starts to get higher and higher with each volumes, especially again with the grand scale of the battle and the story being unraveled to almost everybody in our character casts, essentially. My only thing with that is, I feel some people's deaths are inevitable. And isn't that just great in terms of horror, you know? Because the one thing that I like about horror is ending up liking somebody, knowing that there's a chance that they may die, or there's a chance that they could die, instead of just being protected by plot armor. For the villains, in the beginning, I quite enjoyed how Kiki, the writer, had made them quite easy to hate. But later on, we end up discovering more villains / antagonists who aren't on the hateable scale, but they're more on the morality scales. Like, the morals that they've done, the shit that they've done, probably isn't a good thing, but at least they're not assholes for the most part. I very much enjoyed the writing of this light novel, and it is a bit similar to Baccarina in the fact that it goes through all the characters, but unlike in Baccarina, where it constantly switches perspective because everybody's in first person, in Roll Over and Die, it is in an omniscient point of view, so we are actually able to bounce through everybody and even bounce through multiple people within the same scenes on how they think. It is nice in the fact that it actually gets the story rolling without having to stop and then rewind and then go through the situation again, except with somebody else's perspective. That being said, there are parts of action scenes where I kind of wish it ended a little bit sooner, and it just feels a little dragged out to me sometimes, especially all the way in like volume 2 to 4, which I will again continue to talk about in the spoiler arena. The writing has done well to convey the horror, and I even had a bit of a chill running down my spine when I was reading through volume 2 and finding out what the threat was in that volume. I also read it during bedtime, and I would say that it certainly didn't help me in sleeping, but I actually slept quite soundly. I did have thoughts of certain things that was happening in volume 2, but as I was thinking about that, I had thought that volume 2, out of every volumes, I feel to be the creepiest and very skin-crawling in terms of that feeling. All the other volumes, I felt like the horror elements were pretty cool, but it didn't get that skin-crawling feeling as it did in volume 2. Although I do feel that it conveyed very well in terms of desperation in these characters and having to fight against these horror monsters, essentially. And with all this horror, gore, blood, and even some attempted rape, there is a need to balance the scale. And how do we balance that scale? By the power of cheese. And what is that power of cheese? Well, of course, it's the power of love and friendship. It even said right there, I will fight for an ordinary life with my love. It's been here all along. Oh, love will prevail everything, even this horror shit that is happening in this world. And with that, that is going to be the end of this rather odd, non-spoilerish review, and we are about to head into the spoiler arena. So, if you guys haven't read the light novel yet, especially volume 1 to 4, that is an odd thing to say, I highly recommend you reading it before you come in. But if you feel like coming in anyways, then go ahead. We are going to get started. If you guys enjoyed this video, I do have a tip jar on my Patreon page where for $2 or more, you can get exclusive updates to all my Yuri or non-reaction videos, as well as the early access as early as I can make it. And perhaps, who knows, more voting power to polls on new reactions or whatever Yuri video I should be making next. Well, that wasn't a weird transition at all, but here we are in the spoiler arena, and starting off with the Yuri, specifically Flum and Milkit. I know that I mentioned that I had a bit of a gripe about their master and slave relationship, and I did have, in the midst of this recording, I went out on a walk and I had more time to think about it, and despite me having more time to think about it, I still can't really pinpoint why I'm a little iffy with that whole relationship, so I'm just going to write it in the description down below because it's just something I can't express in words just yet, or at least through my mouth. Anyways, their relationship is quite cute, and it is on the slow and steady pace, especially with all the fucking shit that is happening outside of their relationship. But you can see that Flum cares very much for Milkit, and Milkit cares very much for Flum. But I suppose they're still kids, they're still 16, under the age of 18, so they don't know very much about love and romance and all that jazz. Meanwhile, all the other characters can pretty much tell that they are in love with each other, but they still haven't realized that yet, so we have that whole self-awareness of how weird and odd their relationship is from all the other characters commenting on it. And all I gotta say is, if you have Ottilie, the girl who is obsessed with her older sister, if you have her saying that your relationship is weird, you might want to think about your relationship. And then there's the whole bandage fetish that Flum has gotten, which is just... it's not even the bandage fetish, it's just really more of her not wanting to show Milkit's face to anybody except for her. You know, she wants to keep Milkit's beautiful face all to herself, and also to the readers, of course, because we get to see her face. Anyways, Flum's issue with that just gets worse and worse as the volumes continue. And every time I think about Flum not wanting to show Milkit's face to anybody, and Milkit have to constantly putting on bandage around her face, despite not needing it anymore, all I can think of was like, what is she, a fucking Muslim girl? I do find it a little entertaining, but also it's a little odd. It's kind of like me thinking about this whole fetish of licking each other's ears is quite odd. What was that manga? Transparent Light Blue? Ooh, that ear fetish really got me. Ugh. Anyways, away from the whole fetish thing, yeah, I do find the relationship cute and it is going steadily, but I don't have much of a strong feeling for it, you know, I just feel like it's there. And then we have the other, I don't want to say Yuri couples or even pairs, but we do have Eterna and Ink, and I'm kind of over here like, we had this one scene where Eterna is just sniffing Ink, and all I can think of is Eterna is over the age of 60, and Ink is like 8 years old. And then we have Negas and Sarah, and Negas is a demon, and I don't know how old she is, but Sarah is like 10, and Negas, sorry if I'm saying this all wrong and I'm saying words that I really shouldn't be saying, but Negas wanted to take a bath with Sarah, and she gets all excited to see Sarah naked. And all I can think about is, oh my god, dude, these lollies, they need to stop, alright? These aren't even like lollies who are over the age, you know, over the legal age, but they still look like lollies. No, these are genuine lollies. And then when Volume 4 hit, and we saw Zero talking to Mute, I was over here like, please do not give another character another lolly pairing, alright? Please don't. And, I can't even fucking talk now with this whole lolly shit, but at least Zero didn't get paired off with a lolly, and the logical reason to not get paired off for that is for the lolly to die, so Mute is dead. Good, we don't need another fucking lolly pairing, alright? Although I am a little scared for Necht, because we find out that Necht is actually a girl and not a guy, and Necht is like, I don't know, is Ink 10 now? Anyways, no, I think Necht is 8. Anyways, we have a lolly still that hasn't been paired off with anybody yet, and I hope it stays that way, alright? We don't need another we don't need another lolly to be paired up with, alright? And, you know, that's one of the things why I feel like the Yuri itself is a little lackluster, and I just feel like it's not really the main thing that I'm really after in this series currently, despite me wanting a Yuri horror. It just feels like a little snack that I can have on the side with all this horror and gore and action shit that is happening. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want these snacks. I mean, Flum and Milkit are kind of okay, like they're alright snacks, but like, do I really want Eterna and Ink, or do I really want Negas and Sarah? But at the very least, we have Linus and Sarah. Sarah? Maria. I am getting all names fucking mixed up. I love Linus and Maria's little story that they have with each other. It really ties back in with the whole love conquers all sort of spiel. Because we have Maria, who is trying to be on the road of destruction for everybody. And it was a really nice thing that we find out that the one thing that really keeps her in control of herself for the most part is the fact that Origin and her agree on the same thing, and that is the destruction of demons and humans. You know, the both of them want to wipe out all existence. And so that is one of the things why Maria is still kind of herself. But then eventually we find out later on that because she is in love with Linus, her love for Linus and Linus's love for her and how accepting he is of her despite her now having this fucking spiral face. And I just fucking love that, dude. Like the love that transcends everything, you know? And so Linus loves Maria, even with all the bad shit that she's done, or even with her face not being the same face that she had previous, all contorted and twisted and all fleshy like. But because of Linus's love for Maria, she ends up straying off of that path of wanting to destroy everybody. Who knows? She might still continue to do that. We'll never know, and we'll still have Linus running after Maria and that whole thing, but goddamn, dude, I just love their relationship is like the strongest thing for me right now, and it's just But because of that, I really fear for their life. I really fear that they're going to fucking die, and it's going to make me sad. And like, we've already been setting up Gaudio, and him wanting to fucking die. You know, he's over here like, oh, I'm not gonna die yet. And especially in volume 4, I think, he started learning more about his prana ability. And like, prana is his ability where you take life forces and turn it into power. And the usual thing that you take is your endurance, your stamina, because that you can regenerate with that. But Gaudio is over here like, I'm going to take my own humanity as the life essence, and I'm going to fuck people up like that. And goddamn, dude, we are just slowly getting there with perhaps a potential death of Gaudio, or perhaps he won't die and he'll live out a happy life with Klena. And speaking of Klena, I am rooting for her too. Alright, that is another non-Yuri couple that I really like a whole lot more than the Yuri couple themselves. I love Klena, man. I really root for her in order to try to get Gaudio off of that suicide block that he's on, and just get him to live with her and her daughter as just a fucking family. That's all I want. Moving away from the Yuri and heading into the horror, I thought I'd give a tidbit of information of my preference on horror. I'm not a big fan of high-intense situations, high-risk situations in horror, and I don't like the ambience that hits into a jump scares, or just the anticipation that comes with said jump scares. The reasons why I don't like these sort of horror scenes or horror movies is, well, obviously, I'm fucking scared, but also because I'm fucking scared of sound in general. So, if you take the sound out of horror, and you just have it on a piece of paper instead, I find that to be a little bit more difficult in its own way in order to try to convey horror through text or horror through pictures. I like horror that at first glance, it might be a little bit spooky or it might not look as bad, but the more you think about it, the more it wraps around your head and the more freaked out you would feel about this certain thing. And anything that doesn't fit under that category, I tend to find it to be more of a cool factor, you know, like check out these horror monsters, you know, these monsters with horror elements, sort of like, let's say Bloodborne, the game. You know, I always find it to be a cool factor, like that looks really cool. And for Roll Over and Die, a lot of those counts as cool factors to me, because I thought that the whole spiral concept, I look at those spirals on the wolves in the beginning and in the orcs in Volume 1, and I thought to myself, that's really cool. The one thing I really like is the written desperation of Flum and Sarah when they were up against the orcs in Volume 1. I thought it conveyed very much of, again, that desperation that they had, because this is an enemy that they've never faced before, and part of this Chimera project, and also the fact that, you know, it's literally calling out her name. By her, I mean Flum, of course. Then we had Volume 3, which was a whole-ass village of spiral zombies, which were alright, but the final boss, that is Satis, was pretty fucking dope, alright? And I do find it funny that Volume 3, and especially Volume 4, really hammers down that whole love conquers all concept. And it just makes me giggle so much just to think that in the midst of all this horror and horrible things, love really does conquer everything. And then in Volume 4, I know I skipped Volume 2, but I'll get back to it in a bit. In Volume 4, we had fucking babies. Because it had followed the children arc, and the main villain was Mother, who had created, no, not created these children, but kidnapped these children and, you know, put the whole origin core into them and shit. But the whole baby shit was so fucking radical, and, you know, it's not even up to the point where it was a spooky sort of thing. I just found it so fucking funny, because the video that's been getting a lot of traction in my channel right now is the, goddammit, it's that fucking Eroguro manga about the fucking girl who works as an immortal maid and she gets tortured and all that shit. But anyways, if you've never seen it before, what you're about to hear is quite fucking wild. But towards the end, she ended up giving birth to a baby, which then immediately gets fucked by a guy who obviously isn't the president of the United States. And afterwards, he put that baby in a blender. He blended that baby up. And that scene still gets me so fucking much by today. I still think about that scene from time to time, especially now that I see that video I made has gained traction. I might just unlist it one of these days, but anyways. Why did I mention that? Because Volume 4, when Necht was fighting against Mother, dude, she was using all the powers of the children, and when she started flinging babies at Mother, and she was using, God, I don't remember who it was. It was either Loot or Fwiz, but he was using one of their ability to essentially rotate the baby into a fucking spiral and just shoot it right at Mother. And all I could think of was, Necht is using babies as bullets. Those babies are being used as bullets. And it was the best fucking thing. I had a great time. Reading Volume 4. Albeit, I do feel some of the fight scenes were going for a bit long than I would like, but it's okay. The baby bullet and the other thing that Flum did in Volume 4 made up for it. And the whole Linus and Maria shit really made up for it. There's a lot more pros than there are cons for me. The other scene that I really enjoyed in Volume 4 was the mind control with Mother trying to make other people into Mother as well, and the fact that Mother had gun control of everybody and was just moving them like a marionette. And we had that scene with Yilla, which was just fucking wild. I was can't wait to see that shit in the manga, especially now that I've seen the manga again and I get to see what Yilla looks like. And oh my god, Yilla does not look what I expect her to be at all. But I am glad that I'm able to see Yilla again. Yilla's a great fucking character. I fucking love contrast, dude. I'm getting offhand. Heading back onto Volume 2, that was actually the time when I felt a bit of that creeping horror, and it's all because of the eyeballs. Well, actually, it's not the eyeballs, it's actually the effect of the eyeballs that really got me. And it's just that feeling of you know, if it touches you, it crawls straight into your skin and it creates a new limb. And this new limb is practically useless for the most part, but like if you have another head sprout out, that's another consciousness of you. And then you end up starting to be confused because you start seeing it just feels like you have more heads, like you just feel like you have more consciousness. It's just an overloading thing. And overall, if the eyeballs essentially take over, you just become this lump of mass. That shit just fucking creeps me the fuck out. And it didn't help that I was reading that part where Sarah was running away from those eyeballs and just witnessing this whole horrible effect that is happening. It didn't help that I was reading this before bedtime. During that time when I was trying to fall asleep, I was thinking a lot about those eyeballs, and I was like, man, what if it were true and it got me, you know? That is a little spooky. So in terms of horror, Volume 2 really did it well for me, and I really enjoyed it. Everything else was just super cool, and again, Volume 4 was fucking radical with those babies, man. Going on to the next thing, which is things just keep escalating every single fucking volume. Well, I had mentioned that the whole desperation of the first Spiral enemies, trying to figure out how to kill them in Volume 1, and then in Volume 2, it scales that up with not just these Spiral enemies, these Spiral monsters, not one of them, but 1,000 bunches of eyeballs that are coming after you and turning you into a blob of meat if you get overrun with them. Although that is a bit of an issue that I had with Volume 2 in the beginning, with the whole running away shit, because in Volume 2, you had Flum running away from Dane's men, and I thought that was a pretty good scene. You know, I really enjoyed it with just this whole running away, and again, it really shows that Flum, despite her newfound ability of regeneration, she's still quite a vulnerable girl against a wave of people, or a wave of monsters, or just people who are within the S rank or even A rank or higher. She does end up getting stronger, and she's probably now at like an A or an S rank, if I can remember. I know that she's an A rank, definitely, but I can't remember if she did turn into like an S rank. Anyways, yeah, the whole chasing of Flum, I thought that was pretty good, and I really liked the ending of it, although Dane continuously escaping is a little infuriating, but I suppose that is just his character. And people, although I do find it a little annoying of just people letting him talk, I'm just over here like, just fucking fling a goddamn sword at him. Even though I know he probably has enough dexterity to dodge and get away with shit, or even sacrifice his own men for it, but like, why are we even still listening to this guy? Just fucking choke him out or something, I swear to Christ. But anyways, yeah, that whole chase scene with Flum, pretty good. And then we had Sarah running away from the eyeballs, and I thought that was pretty good too. But then I was thinking, Flum had a running away scene. Sarah had a running away scene. Are we gonna have another running away scene? Well, guess what? There was another running away scene, and that was with Eterna running away from the eyeballs now. And then just a whole lot of running away from eyeballs. Which is understandable, you know, you can't really let them touch you or else you'll sprout a new fucking limb. And Dane really got what was coming to him towards the end. Although the unfortunate thing was that, totally fucking forgot to write this in my notes, but in Volume 2, Dane got what was coming to him. The eyeballs overswarm him and he turned into a pile of meat. But because he was still alive, and Ink didn't want to be this monster that she is anymore because she's not taking her medicine, so she ends up turning into this spiral monster at night, and she's the source of all these eyeballs in the first place, and she can't control it because it's really Origin's power, and Origin can do whatever the fuck it wants, I guess. Well, other than with the power of love, of course, Origin doesn't understand love, so that's one way to defeat Origin, through the power of friendship and love. When I read that part, it was just fan-fucking-tastic. Anyways, it's not what I wanted to talk about. So Ink doesn't want to be this monster anymore, or at the very least, she wants Flum to kill her so then she can die as a human and not as a monster. But they have this idea of, why don't we just take Dane's heart and put it into Ink? And all I could think of is, how big is a human heart compared to a heart of a child? You know, like, you're telling me you're gonna put this heart into her chest? I don't know, but they fucking did it, dude. They fucking got Dame's heart into Ink's chest. And the fucking worst thing is the fact that they operated this on Ink without any anesthesia. And she was awake the whole time. Holy shit, dude. What a fucking memory this child is going to have. But at least Ink is now a normal girl, and she gets to follow Milkit in the whole damsel in distress thing. Except Milkit ends up getting kidnapped a whole lot more because, you know, she is the non-lover of Flum. Non-lover because they still haven't really confessed their love for each other, but obviously they love each other. Milkit is essentially Flum's weak spot, and I wonder how long we'll have that going, you know, whether Flum will actually learn how to defend herself, not even to fight, but just learn how to defend and take care of herself in order to not worry Flum all that much, and instead of just waiting for Flum to rescue her, she can just be like, alright, I'm my own woman. I'm out of here, see you later. I don't want Milkit to fight, but I do want her to learn to run away. Kind of like Welsie, you know? If Welsie, this girl who's the fucking journalist, can thrive in a dangerous environment that is in Volume 4, and she's still fine by the end of the day, why don't Milkit just learn from Welsie? The art of running away. It's not a bad thing to learn how to run away. Anyways, before I got distracted, back to the whole escalating every volume. In Volume 3, we had the chase for Milkit, which is just another fucking running scene. But this time it's gotta run after Milkit. Oh, god damn it. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Milkit got kidnapped back in Volume 2, and now she's getting kidnapped in Volume 3. And Flum is over here like, man, what the fuck? I keep my eyes off of Milkit for 1 second, and she's fucking gone. Are you kidding me? We have the chase for Milkit, and then we have the torture and kill of Satis, and then her reappearance as the boss of Volume 3. I thought that was really cool, and I really like the introduction of Warner as the mole for the for the church, essentially. And then again with the whole scaling and the grand scheme of thing, the grand battles with the whole ass zombie situation. And the kaiju that is up in this bitch, aka Satis. And again, the power of love. And then in Volume 4, we scale that up even more to an entire sector or entire city with another giant giga monster or a giant kaiju. And then we also have the talks of Tokyo, which is, I don't know how to think about that just now, honestly. Because we started having more talks about how Tokyo, and we started having this old man who's like a ghost, but not really. And he talks about how the old days when this was still Japan and a floating city of Tokyo. Well, that was a part of the writers afterward when he was saying, if things go the way that they do, we will have like big fights and a flying city of Tokyo. Are we on a flying city? Is this what? Anyways, yeah, in Volume 4 we find out that this is actually a more futuristic world of Japan, or, you know, this used to be Earth, but then something happened and now we are in this new situation. It's not something that's new, and it's something that was done on one of my more favorite anime that I will not talk about because that is major spoilers, even though it was back in 2006, and I suppose maybe in like 5 more years I can tell you the secrets to it. Isn't that the law? If it's more than 20 years or something, it's not spoilers. Man, during the fights with Mother, and people literally just tossing everything that they have at Mother, and just Mother losing focus at first, and then unleashing all the more powerful people, aka members of the hero parties. And just them saying, haha, this is what happens when you have friends, Mother. We all support each other. And Mother's over here like, friends? What are friends? I don't need friends. Get out of here with your friends and love shit. God, the power of love and friendship truly is transcendental. And also, a lot of shit happened in Volume 4, but I forgot to mention one of my other favorite things in Volume 4, other than the fucking babies as bullets. It is the fact that Flum has learned a new tactic of essentially using her body, because she's always losing a limb, she's always having shit twisted all around, and she ends up having to regenerate. During this one time, she finds out that, you know what, if my body's gonna get cut off, or if my body's breaking anyways, I might as well use it to my advantage. So she's over here using her finger as bullets. And when she doesn't have any more fingers, she's like, I'm gonna use the whole arm, bitch! She turned into a fleshy robot lady, dude. And is it odd that for some reason, when they had that scene of her shooting her finger off, all I could think about was My Hero Academia? Yeah, take that, Midoriya. Flum totally one-upped you with her finger bullets. And then there is the whole concept of death for the main characters, or at least the more recurring characters. I obviously feel like Flum and Milkit aren't going to die. I feel like Eterna and Ink have a little bit of a chance, but they're probably more on the list of might not be dying. But goddamn, dude, I think I've said it before, but I fear for Linus and Maria. I fear for Gaudio. I feel like their chances of dying are high. I feel like Cyril might also have a chance of dying. Who knows? But on the other hand, at least with Volume 4, I'm glad that all of the better party members are here. And by better party members, I mean everybody minus John. Well, at least John I know is going to die, but he's probably not going to die very soon. I didn't mention much about the demons and all, but that's also because we did learn that demons, funny enough, are actually peaceful creatures, and they don't want to fight humans in the first place, and humans are, who would have thought, the ones who are evil and are trying to start this war against the demons in the first place. You know, humans as the enemies, who would have fucking thought? Although, I still find it funny that demons are the peaceful characters here. But, yeah, we have that whole aspect, and again, you know, we have the whole, world supposedly used to be Japan, and now we're up to this point where we have game mechanics, you know, the whole RPG A ranks, and like the stats and shit. I wonder how that has come to fruition. Next thing you know, you'll find out that this is all a virtual reality. Japan has been destroyed many years ago, and we've put all the consciousness of the Japanese people into this virtual reality, but it's gone haywire. Anywho, I am quite excited for the next volume of Roll Over and Die. Although, I don't know if anything will really top off the whole using babies as bullets and also using your entire body as bullets. The baby was one, though. I don't know if anything will ever top that one off. I hope to see more progression of Flum and Milkit. I hope the introduction of Cyril again doesn't cause too many fucking stupid romance shit to be happening, although it is slowly starting to do that a little bit. Then again, Cyril just might be that third-party threat that we need in order for Flum and Milkit to actually realize that their relationship is love. And we can kind of see that with Milkit and how she gets jealous of Cyril, even though they haven't met yet, but you know, she just gets jealous at the mention of Cyril from Flum. So, who knows? We do see that Flum herself had said that she only thinks of Cyril as a friend, and she doesn't think of Milkit the same way as she does Cyril, and she knows that Cyril is just her friend, you know, someone who's precious to her like that. So, for the most part, at least Flum figured that out, and I wonder how Cyril will go from here. And again, hopefully, maybe she'll be a good third-party threat and get their relationship going. And and all that fucking jazz. But anyways, I'm just going to go back to the center now because we're done with the spoiler arena. Huzzah! Hey, I don't know why you're here. I don't know why I'm here either, because I could have just finished it on the other side instead of going back to the center, but that's going to be it. If I have anything else to say, I will write it in the description down below. And if you enjoyed this, please remember that I do have a Patreon where I post exclusive updates and early access and full-length reaction videos to some anime I've been watching and all that mumbo jumbo. And I also got the Amazon shop. Fucking alright, I'm done. I'm done. My voice is starting to die now. It's actually been 3 hours of recording now, so that is fucking great. Fucking great indeed. Why are you guys still here?